Hello and welcome everyone to the 5th episode of MoDXtra. We're a UK-based podcast, but it's a vodcast thing made up of two massive man nerds who just thought they needed to come along and fill that massive void on the internet of nerdy middle-aged men talk.
It's a nerdcast.
It most certainly is. I'm Chris, he's Andy.
Hello.
Do you want an AKA?
AKA, if it bleeds, we can kill it.
Yeah, and we'll circle back round to that quote in a little while.
Knock, knock.
Stick around. So welcome everyone. Yeah, 5 episodes in. I know the 20 of you must have been enjoying it. You've come back for 5 of this.
Wow.
I know. Tell me about it.
If you like it, tell your friends.
Yeah, get some more going on. Get some more on here. Let's go. MoDXtra's growing very slowly.
Like a wart.
Mm.
But it's hard to get rid of. You might not like it, but it's not going anywhere.
We've got a good episode lined up, though.
We do indeed.
Maybe we should make more of the fact that we were likened to a book club for nerds.
Like a nerd club.
Yeah, like go away, watch this film, go away, read this comic book, come back, let's chat about it kind of thing.
Maybe we should.
Maybe we should. We'll have a think about that.
Maybe we should publicise on some form of social medias that we do it.
Yeah, that
might
help, wouldn't it? Yeah. We are putting an awful lot of effort into the publicity.
Are we?
It got... No.
Good. I was going to say, I didn't mean to offend you.
No, I was being ironic. We don't even... We've got a Twitter for MoDXtra.
Do we?
Yeah, which I think is @_MoDXtra. It's had about 4 tweets in the last 6 months.
Excellent. I don't like Twitter. I'm not really good at Twitter.
Yeah.
Shock, horror.
Facebook seems to work the best for our primary endeavour, the Ministry of Dice. But I don't know if it's right for this or not. So get suggestions in. Suggestions in the box, please, folks.
How do we share? How do we share the voice that is MoDXtra?
Yeah. I did wonder about a Discord server.
Oh, that sounds complicated.
You're not very well equipped with that.
No, I could barely use it.
Discord, yeah.
Set up a nice MySpace account.
I mean, that'd be useful. Yeah, I'll take whatever promotion we can get, yeah.
Friends Reunited. That works,
that's still going, isn't it?
I've no idea.
Well, you better check with this fine social media strategy that you are.
Fine. If it's still around
right now,
by next episode, we will have a MySpace and a Friends Reunited account, and we'll see how we can expand this audience to millions. Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Deal.
Okay, well, we'll get into our main segments imminently, but as always, folks, what we like to do is have a little bit of a chat about how our last 2 weeks have gone. So I'll ask you, my man, what have you been up to in the last 2 weeks since we last recorded?
Wow. Well, I haven't watched as many movies as I have been. I did manage to bash through a few, but only a few. Let me find my little list, because I try and keep a list so that I don't forget. It's quite short. So I managed to watch Rambo. Spoke about that briefly on the Ministry of Dice podcast, because I was expecting it. I thought it was going to be the first one, but it wasn't the first one. It was the second to last one, which was more recent.
Yes, that's right. There's been one recently, didn't you know?
I do now. That was an interesting gore fest. Pretty much lacking on storyline. It doesn't even talk that much.
No.
But makes up for action and gore. So if you like that sort of thing, then one to watch. I rewatched Batman The Dark Knight. That's the one with Bane.
Yeah.
Which I really like.
Let the games begin!
What a love. Hold on. What a lovely, lovely voice. I love that bit. It's when he walks out and the kids singing the American national anthem. What a lovely, lovely voice.
I really love that movie until sort of the last 20 minutes or so.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like the twist particularly.
Right.
And this whole big kind of police battling I don't know. There's something that doesn't feel right about the sort of big climactic ending to me.
I have to say I enjoyed it. I hadn't seen it for a while. And sorry,
the thing with the twist. Sorry, I was gonna justify myself before I get assaulted on the internet. The thing with the twist. Spoiler alert. Then fast forward a couple of minutes if you've not seen it. When we discover that she's Talia al Ghul and she has been behind the whole thing, and it turns out that Bane was just like the muscle. I feel like it betrays the characterization of Bane that we've just watched for the last 2 hours.
Nah, don't do that.
No? Okay. Well, I don't like it.
It's brilliant.
I mean, overall, in terms of degrees of enjoyment, it's very high up there. I'm just saying that little twist and then sort of the 15, 20 minutes after it fell a bit flat for me.
Here's a question. You're a comic book fan. Bane. Bane in the other Batman I watched where he was basically Poison Ivy's goon is a bit of a mindless thug.
Yeah.
Whereas in this one, he's obviously very clever. I was about to say very quite clever, which wouldn't have been a clever thing to say. What's he like in the comic books, or is there a menagerie of different versions of Bane?
He's much more like the interpretation in the Christopher Nolan. I mean, Bane famously is the man who defeated Batman.
Well, when did he do that? Because I watched the movie and he kills him.
Yeah, well, in the comic books, there's a famous run called Nightfall. You've obviously not watched my video about the gimmick comic book covers from DC.
I must have gone to make a cup of tea at that point.
There's a series called Nightfall, where Bane wants to take over Gotham City, and in order to do so, he breaks all of the crazy villains out of Arkham Asylum and gives them financial support and resources and stuff, so that Batman basically has to go on this crazy endeavor to recapture them all and put them all back in prison, with a view that by the end of it, if he's still alive, then Bane will, just step in and finish him off, kind of thing. So it's this really complex and very clever plan that he's put together. And by the conclusion of it, Batman's just like knackered, and he's not slept in weeks, and he's barely eaten, and he's been fighting all these crazy villains. The least of which is the A-list rogues gallery, like the Joker and Riddler and such, like Poison Ivy and whatnot. And he just turns up at Wayne Manor. He's figured out his alter ego, goes down into the Batcave, and then breaks his back over his knee. And there's a very famous, iconic picture of Bane dropping Batman over his knee.
Because he does that in the movie as well. Is that a little kind of back to it?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I believe so. Yeah, I've never asked Chris myself.
If you're not,
no, we spent most of our time talking about trying to figure out Inception. We haven't got around to talking about the Batmans yet.
Oh, that's so very cool.
I've got the Nightfall series on the list actually for one of our comic book corners.
Oh, nice. So then Batman's dead. So then what happens then? They go back into time and bring him back to life again.
No, he's not dead. He's just like paralyzed from the waist down.
Forever?
No, not forever.
Standard comic book.
Yeah. He goes to the Caribbean with this like super clever doctor person, and he's got all the money in the world, doesn't he, for all the kind of.
Does he get War Machine's legs?
No, but Darth Maul's, I think, actually.
Oh, okay, cool. He's like a spider though in the cartoons.
Yeah, Batman just hides it well. Good wardrobe. It's all in the pants. It's all in the pants purchasing.
Cool. Or didn't you throw him into a pit where only children can get out of? Because that makes sense. Yeah, none of us adults can get out, but a 6-year-old kid just got out. Okay. Anyway, that was an impromptu little Batman chat. The other film I watched, which I don't think you'd have watched, but you might have done, is Transporter 2.
No. I think I've seen the first one. This is Jason Statham, isn't it?
Yeah. I watched that again. I'd watched it a while ago, and I remember that I really liked it because I watched it a few times, and I'd forgotten how completely insane it was. Well, I don't
Is
think
this the
I've
one where his heart
realised.
rate? Is it his heart rate? He's got to keep his heart rate above a certain amount or something.
No, I think that's Crank.
Okay.
This one's he's a very skilled driver of Audi limousines, or not quite limousine, but the really long one. I think it might be an A5. Car fans out there, let me know. And yeah, and there's some stuff in it which is just completely batshit crazy that I didn't really clock when I was younger. Like when he's got a bomb underneath his car, so he drives up a ramp so he can spin upside down, knock the bomb off the underside of his car by a hanging crane, and then spin all the way around again and land back on the wheels of his car and drive off, which
Yeah,
I thought was quite feasible when I watched it.
That's
before.
how I remove all the bombs from under my car.
Yeah, obviously. But nonetheless, as far as out there action goes, it is a good film. So if you've not watched it, try it. You should try it, mate.
There you go. Yeah, I'll check it out. But I watch the first one first, presumably.
You really don't need to.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure I watched Transporter 2 before Transporter.
Okay.
You definitely don't need to watch the first one to have anything to do about the second one.
Roger that.
And other than that, I watched a couple of other movies, but I won't talk about them now because we're going to talk about them later. So yeah.
Oh, yes, sure.
Nowhere near the long list of movies that I rattled through last time. So slowing down a bit there.
Movies plural. Was I supposed to watch 2 films this week?
Well, I watched a movie for our third segment today.
Oh, I see.
Remind myself of the
right.
Of the ins and outs of it. So yes. Other than that, what else have I been up to? I obviously read Dark Phoenix, which we'll talk about later. I have been watching a bit more Parks and Recreation, the comedy series, which I've been enjoying. There's quite a lot of it on Amazon Prime, so it's going to keep me going for a while. A bit of Inkmaster as standard, in and out with that. I've got to season 4, and I'm enjoying it a bit more.
There's 4 seasons of it.
I think there's more, to be fair. I think it's been going for a fair few years.
This is Inkmaster, not Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, but I think both of them have actually got a substantial series behind them. I just never heard them before, so it's quite good when you get something like that. You can just binge on it for like months.
Yeah.
Which is quite cool. That's everything that I can pretty much remember TV-wise. I have read... I'm just going to load it up to make sure I get the name right. So I finished my last book, finished Dark Phoenix, needed a new book to read, and I found on the Apple iBooks loads of aliens-themed books, not just books, but like omnibuses. Now, I remember kind of back probably late 90s, there was a lot of novels and writing in regard to the aliens universe. And they've kind of bundled them all up into these like omnibuses of 3 books. So I've started what's called the Complete Aliens Omnibus Volume 1. I think it was about $4.99 on iBooks, which ain't too bad for 3 books. And the first book is... I'll load it up and it takes me to my page, which is a little bit annoying. Excuse me, folks. Right, so it's called Earth Hive.
Earth Hive?
Yeah, which is cool. Follows... Basically, what it does is it makes up another alien encounter happening around about the same time as Aliens with the characters that are in the book. And one colonial marine escapes with a little girl. And then
sounds familiar.
Yeah. And then it's about 15 years later. The little girl's in an asylum because they just say that she's lying and she's crazy. So she's in an asylum. The marine's pretty much been kind of left in the sidelines for most of his career because they think he's batshit. But they know that the aliens are there, but they don't want to publicize it. So they've kept him around just in case he's got a big kind of acid scar down his face. And then, keeping a long story short, they've been kind of monitoring and experimenting and trying to find kind of aliens for quite a while. They find their main kind of home planet and they're sent, in inverted commas, to destroy them, when actually they've been sent to kind of get one and bring it back. And you can imagine what happens from there. So I won't go too much detail. So that's the first one. I read through Earth Hive. Finished it. It's a really good read. I've started the second one, which is called Nightmare Asylum, which I've realised after kind of getting into the first few chapters that I must have read as a teenager because I recognise it. And I'm in a state where I can recognise when things happen, but I don't remember it enough to know what happened. So it's fine.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm making my way through that. And then there's loads. So there is, looking at here, at least 7 omnibus volumes. I think the next lot have 2 books each.
Wow.
So there's quite a lot to go through. So that should keep me busy for a while. And what it equates to is what? So the first one is £5 for 3 books, and it's £5 for 2 books. So £2.50 a book. Ain't too bad. So that should keep me busy for a while. But yeah, check them out if you like reading, because who doesn't like aliens? And I'm quite excited because I've read one and not gone back to it. So it's quite interesting. I don't know if they're all going to follow on from each other and be the same characters, or it's going to chop and change. Because I've got to the end of book 1 and Earth's pretty much fucked. So I'm not sure how far they can go from there. If that would be interesting. So yeah, there we go. If you have read them, I'd be interested to know your thoughts. Leave a comment, get in touch, and let me know if I should continue along this endeavour or if I should probably save my fivers for something else. And that pretty much sums up my nerd life.
Right. Wow. There you go. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. How about you?
Nowhere near. How about me? Let's see. So I've been watching TV shows mostly. I watched the first, and what I've come to discover is the only season of Teenage Bounty Hunters on Netflix.
Teenage Bounty. Let me write that down.
You're jotting that one down.
It sounds both exciting and
so very right, but so very wrong on many angles.
Is it?
Yeah, it's about the twin sisters. No, it's about these twin sisters who accidentally end up working with a bounty hunter and becoming bounty hunters themselves. But there's a whole the bits I enjoyed was them being these rather unusual, ill-fit for bounty hunting, but actually really quite good at it characters. The stuff that really switched me off, there's a very Dawson's Creek-y style soapy element to it all. So, but just as I start to get bored of all that and thinking, well, I'm going to pack this in, something cool on the bounty hunting front happens, But it turns out it was cancelled after the first season anyway. So,
right.
And it ended on a weird cliffhanger. And then on Amazon Prime, I watched a show called Patriot, which is about this spy guy who is trying to investigate this like a dodgy nuclear bomb thing going on. And in order to do so, he goes undercover with an oil piping company so that he can go out to various countries and spy without people thinking he's a spy. But things just keep going wrong for him. And through no fault of his own, he's a very capable spy. Just this random lineup of coincidences and accidents keep happening that then throw his plans to pot, and he has to make up these strategies on the fly. And it's a sort of 2 seasons long, a complete story, kind of the 2 seasons tell one story. Both of them, in fact, Patriot and Teenage Bounty Hunters, are pretty short, 8 or 10 episodes a season. Yeah, so I liked Patriot a lot, actually. Got a really weird tone. It would appeal, I think, if anyone's listening and they're a fan of Coen Brothers style stuff and Wes Anderson style stuff, it's got that kind of dreamy, slightly out there, a bit stonery feel to it all. Patriot would appeal to them, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a bit comedy-esque.
Yeah, but very blackly comic.
Right.
It's quite dark at times. Not quite dark. It is dark at times, but an interesting one nonetheless.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a recommendation that someone gave me ages ago, and I just finally got around to it because it's a bit dry at the minute for good telly, I think.
Oh, there's bits out there.
There's a lot of new things started, but I just don't feel like I can be arsed with them.
I'm still hanging on until the end of until all of The Mandalorian is released. I nearly broke a few times. I've nearly broken a few times, but no, that can be my Christmas watching.
I'm up to speed on The Mandalorian and on Star Trek Discovery, which I've been mentioning as we've been going along, but I'll steer clear of The Mandalorian. I, unlike many others, am really rather unhappy about the latest episode.
Oh dear.
All the fanboys are having their little wanky jizz moment, but I'm not cool with it.
Oh, what episode's that? Let me put a mental note in to revisit next year. The 5th, right?
Maybe the 5th, yeah. You'll know.
Oh, okay.
See, there's a whole thing with Star Wars that I've got though. I don't like fan service where they're just bringing out a new thing or adding an element to one of the new things that is entirely wholly designed to pay fan service and for all the fanboys to go, "Oh, that's amazing!" You know, I've got no time for that. And The Mandalorian has done it in a really big way.
So you've got no time for when someone makes something that the fans would like.
Yeah, but no. So it's so hard to articulate and explain. It's but they do. There's no. You were saying the other week, like there's no new territory. We keep pulling on these little threads and finding these little. In fact, there's something that I'll talk about when we get to our movie in your retro corner, because it's one of the reasons why I think the film stands up so well, even though they've done it with that franchise too, haven't they? Where like they take these little threads and they just pull on them, and they make whole stories out of this little thread of a section. And the story was good where it was. It was good where it was, and the gaps in the story that people are like, "Oh, I really wish they told us what happened around this," or just like either let your imagination fill in the gaps. You've got enough information to do that, or just let the ending of it be the ending of it.
Yeah.
So rather than creating new characters with new stories, which they did in the first season with The Mandalorian, largely speaking, this second season is very... everyone's saying, oh, you don't need to know the lore, but there's a lot of stuff they're putting in there that just seems very... this fan service stuff. But I believe it's to the detriment of the quality of the story, and it's a portrayal of George Lucas's original vision.
Ooh, now that is deep. What that needs, and I'm going to throw this out here now, is a MoDXtra Mandalorian special once all the episodes out, and I'll binge them, and then we can have a proper, full-on hour episode on it.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I've got no objection to that at all.
Awesome stuff.
But it's really well made, and the character of the Mandalorian's really, and that's the point, really, I think, is like the whole thing with the Mandalorian and the Baby Yoda, who there's things happen with that's, listeners who've watched it all know, but I'll keep it from you. Keep it spoiler free.
Yeah.
There is a story in its own right. It's got its own story, and we've got these kind of outland settlements and the aftermath of the Battle of Yavin and all that kind of stuff going on. That's enough of a story in its own right. We don't need to start digging through past popular characters and past popular movies to make it just for a fan jizz moment.
I can see that, but I suppose. I think I know what you're talking about, because I think I've seen on the social medias that it's the Doris from the Clone Wars with the.
No, well, that's not the only instance. There's been more since.
Right. Okay. So it's instances like that. See, that could work both ways for me. Now, I'm not that excited about it because I've only watched a couple of episodes of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting. I'll look forward to.
So she's different, actually. I don't object to that particular character's appearance, because she did have an unfinished story in the Clone Wars. Well, not the Clone Wars, actually. Star Wars Rebels. Her story ends with a kind of cliffhanger moment, and where you could end it there and say, well, she's journeying in this direction forever, kind of thing. At least that, to me, feels like it's got a narrative direction. Although it's since been out on the internet that's basically a backdoor pilot to a spin-off of her own anyway.
Oh, okay. Well,
so, yeah.
Disney Plus, making all the monies.
Well, exactly, yeah. And I just worry sometimes that they don't do it to serve the quality of the story and the storytelling. They do it because they know that people will just with a bit of very clever marketing, will rush to it. It's the same, to return to it, it's the same reason why I've got issues with Rogue One.
Ooh.
We already know that many Bothans died to obtain this information. I don't need a film about it that's then just layered with loads of inane fan service. And I'm not convinced it's gritty because the Disney marketing machine told me it is,
I don't think it's gritty.
No, it's not gritty.
It's different by the fact that the main characters kind of all get killed off. Like, spoiler, if you've not seen it though, you probably aren't listening to this, so that's probably fine, because they all die at the end, which is not very Star Warsy or Disney. So I suppose in some respects you could say that it's a little bit gritty, but it's hardly. No one's stuffing their innards back into their body and trying to crawl down the corridor, are they?
Well, maybe we should do a Star Wars special someday. But I tell you what, on the subject of war movies and gritty, what I have watched in the last 2 weeks is 1917.
Oh, I've watched that. Let me make sure it's the right one. It's the one that's done in real time.
Yes.
Brilliant movie.
Amazing. Yeah. Amazing.
It's absolutely amazing. Yeah. I hate that fucking pilot.
With the knife.
Yeah. What's that all about? They just saved you. They just pulled you out of this unnecessary.
You're peeking a bit, mate.
That's because I got too excited. It's unnecessary, mate. What are you doing?
Made all my levels go red. Yeah, incredible. I mean, I really, as a kind of like a weird movie nerdy thing, I've got this whole thing about continuous shots, uninterrupted continuous shots. And so the film was going to appeal to me in that respect. Although it's 2, isn't it? It's across 2, because they've filmed it in a way that when he blacks out and wakes up again, it's nighttime, isn't it? And they kind of start anew.
Yes, yeah. I hadn't really thought about it that way, but yeah, you are right.
But really brilliant movie. I enjoyed it. Well, as much as you can enjoy a film like that, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it's not the kind of thing that I would go to for an enjoyable movie watch, but it is good. Yeah,
it was really good. So, and that is my nerd 2 weeks. I think. Oh, except for I've been on the Hearthstone again a little bit over the weekend. Yeah.
Have you watched that movie about the tank with Brad Pitt in, which is called?
I have. Fury.
Yeah.
I have. Yeah, and Shia LaBeouf and what's his name? Ant-Man's sidekick.
Yeah, loads of famous people in the tank. I enjoyed that as well, and that's quite a gritty war movie. But anyway, we'll just be talking shit for the whole hour.
Maybe we should do a gritty war movie special sometime. Yeah.
No. Let's stick with aliens killing people for now.
All right. Fair enough. And that, I think there's probably more, but that's all I've managed to remember for tonight. I'm sure I've done more nerdy stuff I usually have. But so should we tell the listeners what we've got in store for them for the remainder of the episode? Let's do it. Okay. Andy's Retro Corner is coming up as usual. And this week's movie is Predator, the 1987 original, not The Predator, but Predator from 1987.
Amazing.
And then in Chris's Comic Book Corner, we're taking a look at the classic X-Men storyline, the Dark Phoenix Saga. And then as it's December, to bring us to a close, our little debate discussion pick of the week random bit is our favourite Christmas movies. We have to... are we guessing each other's favourite Christmas movies?
I think so, yeah. Let's do that.
Yeah, okay. And with all that said and done, that should bring us to the close of this week's episode. So after that long, rambling, winding road of an intro, should we crack on?
Yay!
Right, okay then, folks. So as you will have hopefully discerned by my carefully coded little stinger segues there, we're doing Andy's Retro Corner first this week. And the movie to be discussed is Predator. So being Andy's Retro Corner, I'll hand you over to the man to get us started.
So yes, we are doing Predator this week. It's one of my favourite movies of all time. It was a suggestion from Stuart. Yeah, that's what we're going to do it. So if you want to suggest a movie for us to do, we will pick that up and run with it, especially if it's as good a selection as Predator is. Now, if you've not seen Predator before, then shame on you. But for you, individual person out there that's not seen it, here is the synopsis that Sky gives us. It's not very long, but then I don't think it's probably needs to be. Arnold Schwarzenegger leads a platoon of mercenaries, into jungle carnage against an unseen alien beast. 80s classic from the director of Die Hard. It's not really a big description, and they're not mercenaries.
They're like special forces.
Special forces.
But they're not assassins. Oh, no.
Because they're a rescue team, not assassins. Yeah, one of the greatest movies ever made.
That's a lofty claim.
Well, we've just been speaking about, was it 1917? I think it's probably up there, of a similar caliber. It has everything a growing boy needs in an action movie. You have Arnold Schwarzenegger. You have a badass team of special forces, amazing hardcore troops. You've got a dude with a minigun.
They're all. I wrote that in my notes. Do you want to know my exact note I wrote?
What's that?
I wrote that minigun though.
We'll get back to the minigun later because I have done some research on miniguns for this segment.
Oh right, okay.
You've got the Predator, right? And this, I mean, I reckon we could talk more about this because Predator and Aliens both have a lot of similarities, but in my reckoning, Predator is an action movie with horror elements, whereas Aliens, controversially, think is a horror movie with action elements. And I think that may be why AVPs haven't quite worked, because they kind of go, you need to go one way or the other.
Although I don't find the Predator particularly scary, those horror elements don't really impact on me.
No, I think you could probably do the last 15 minutes of the movie when it's the one-on-one in the dark.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've got skinned people hung up in trees. That's kind of hot.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm not disputing it. I'm just saying it doesn't really, I don't find it scary.
No, and he's not. He's got a fanny for a mouth, and he can only see in infrared. It's not too bad, although he is pretty hard. So yeah, so that's the roundup of it. A little bit of a rambly roundup. What were your thoughts on the movie? Do you like the Predator? Sorry.
Yeah, I do like. I do like Predator. Absolutely, I do. Yeah, I mean, this is once again though. This is another example of 80s movies standards, cultural standards, not passing muster in by today's standards. However, putting all that aside, it's just a good movie. It's just well put together, isn't it? It's just lean and does exactly what it sold itself to do for you at the outset, and it doesn't mess around. It just gets to the point, and I appreciate that. And I like the fact that a lot of the story is told through the visuals.
Yeah, a lot of it is. There's a lot of just screenshots of jungle and stuff. There's not a massive kind of in-depth dialogue to it, is there?
No, like in comparison to like Michael Bay stuff, we obviously did The Rock last episode. In that moment where Arnold is preparing to do to take on the Predator 1-on-1, we just get a few little kind of montage shots of him prepping his traps, testing his shit out, getting it ready to go. There's no dialogue, whereas in a Michael Bay film, he'd have the character like expositionally monologuing to himself about what his plans and intentions are, and none of that. He just lets the story be told through what you're watching and the atmosphere, and he's in the jungle setting traps, and you can just sort of hear jungly ant creatures, the chirping and all that in the distance while he's getting it all done. And I really appreciate that about the Predator. I think it's like really lean. There's no flab on the movie at all.
It is lean, but it is well thought out. I mean, obviously, like the Predator, similar to, I don't know the backstory of how they designed it, but the Alien was obviously designed, but they got like H.R. Geiger, a famous artist, involved. The thought process behind it, they've spent time to getting it designed. I suppose it leans towards the 80s because there's not much similar come before it, whereas now we've had another 30 years of of people creating aliens, etc. So there wasn't like, it's an iconic alien. You wonder if that wasn't made then but made now, if we would like it as much, because there's been so many other ones before it. But nonetheless, it's obviously well thought out. It's not just been plonked on the table and gone, here's some generic alien designs which you want to go for, down to his kind of tech and his weapons, which then get expanded on in Predator 2. So that's cool. The characters, I mean, everyone of the squad is an individual character, and there's enough. What I'm saying? Like, well,
I dispute that.
Well, no, for example, well, let me try and explain what I'm saying. You know which is which. Like, you watch Aliens, and you won't know who some of the guys who died. So you've got like Wyabowski, said that wrong probably. Dietrich.
Yeah.
That there are squad members that die early on in Aliens that you don't know who they are. I mean, one of them was Tip Tippin, which is just a stuntman that they just had.
That's right. Yeah.
Whereas you've got Arnie.
Nice.
You've got. Oh no, thank you very much. Don't get me started on Aliens. You've got Arnie. You've got Apollo Creed. You've got Billy the Tracker. You've got the little Spanish guy. You've got the nerdy guy with glasses. You've got Jesse the Body Ventura, the WWE dude.
Yeah.
You've got Mac, who can eat green berets for breakfast from Commando.
That's right.
So they're all different characters, and they all have different guns as well to like completely separate them apart from each other.
I can't tell if you're being ironic right now or not.
Well, I'm not, because it's not a deep movie, but it does the basics right, which is that
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah. Okay.
Poncho is the little guy with the grenade launcher. Hawkins is the guy with the glasses and the submachine gun. Arnie, or he's the he's the leader, and he's Arnie. They're all set. You know exactly who they are. They're not just generic, and they do that quite quickly, as opposed to just as generic squad. Let's build a story around them. Let's make sure each individual, like the Watchmen, the comic book, to take reference, that it doesn't take a portion of the story to tell it who it is. You know straight away who these characters are without really thinking, which is clever.
That's the lean element, isn't it? That they communicate their actions. Tell you who they are and what they're all about. Whereas by today's standards, that movie would have been a trilogy, if not a franchise, and we'd have had a film per team member with all their backstory leading up to the moment where they all came together to fight the Predator in the jungle.
Yeah, over the course of 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. Which is and that's what I'm. You're exactly kind of. It does do the basics right, and it's very lean. There's no fluff. It's like, right, well, we have a story to tell. Let's tell that story, and the rest will be communicated. Like, the Predator is a great example of this. I wrote on here, like, what does the Predator even want? Now, we know because they've subsequently done more films, and of like the lore that surrounds the Predator has been dived into much more deeply. But for this movie, like, if you were watching it in 1987 for the first time, you'd have no idea why that alien came to this planet. There's no real indicator as to what the Predator's agenda is, what his motivations are. Why is it collecting skulls? Why is it skinning bodies? Why is it pulling people's spines out of the in a kind of ritual fashion? You've got no idea, nor do you need to know, really.
No, true. I think that the trophy collector element is kind of hinted on with the collection of the skulls and how he's collecting the bodies, but they do flesh it out quite a lot in Predator 2. Predator 2, and I won't go too much into this, is one of my shock horror is one of my favourite movies of all time. I prefer Predator 2 to Predator.
Oh, curious.
And I know that because a lot of people slate Predator 2 and think it's crap, but Murtaugh versus Predator, like, what's not to like? It just needs some saxophone music.
You can't beat a good bit of saxophone music in an 80s movie. Yeah. I've certainly watched Predator 1, the first Predator, many more times than I've watched Predator 2.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably say that Predator is a good go-to action flick. Let's go through some notes then. So I have got... So we've talked about the characters and the unit. And again, I don't... Comparing it to Aliens, and I could probably talk this round. But I think there is a comparison there. And kind of why I say this is an action movie with horror elements, is these guys are the elite of the elite. It tells you very quickly that they are the elite of the elite of the elite. They're that elite that they get to pass up on missions if they don't want to do them. Because he's like, why did you not do that one? It's like, we're a rescue team, not assassins. And it's just like, well, okay, but you are in the American military. You do what you're told. So,
Take your orders.
So yeah, that kind of shows how, how high up and how revered they are, as opposed to, again, the colonial marines and aliens, who it's very much hinted on that they're not as elite that they say they are to Ripley. There's little things in the movie, like when they're coming out of the APC, and he's like, I want a tight dispersal this time. Just those little bits that seem to indicate that actually they're a bit raw, a bit not too elite. I've got, what else I've got there? Yeah, they're not nervous, blah, blah, blah. Jesse Ventura has the best arse chin in the world ever.
True story.
Which
I can't dispute
that. Okay, right. And old school miniguns. So old school movies loved miniguns. And for a bit of research through the internet, so this may not be true, but those handheld miniguns are actually not real. That doesn't
surprise me at all.
They need a separate power supply. I mean, they're usually mounted, I think, on like aircraft. If I'm wrong, let me know, because I've got quite into this research on miniguns. It's the most impractical gun to take on a covert mission into the jungle I could possibly imagine. Literally, like they're lugging their way through the jungle with no, they're not supposed to be there. They don't know if they'll be, airlifted out again. And this guy is carrying a flipping like minigun on his back with like a backpack of ammo. It's brilliant and crazy at the same time. Miniguns was also in Terminator 2, in that bit where he's like shooting out of the building. And like zero fatalities. But it's not real. It's not real. I couldn't believe it. But on the same respect, it is like stupid. I can't imagine there being many viable military times, in an art like when that would actually work. But I am quite gutted. I put here, gutted, they're not real. Yeah, so those were my kind of little thoughts I had whilst I was going through it. I could kind of divert a lot more in regards to comparisons to Aliens and going into kind of things like AVP, Predator 2, AVP Requiem. But I won't. And what other notes did you have?
Well, you mentioned about the covert stuff. I definitely wrote a fair few notes on the subject of them being covert. They seem to rescue hostages in a very noisy way. Like through the, like creeping up on these guerrillas, and he's like, Dutch, across the jungle, like telling jokes, laughing out loud and stuff. And I'm just like, what? And then when it comes to the actual moment of trying to save the hostages, it's just extreme grenades, the minigun going off, firing rockets at things. Like Arnie barely uses the main function of his rifle. He just uses the grenade launcher section of it, for the majority of it. Like super noisy. So that kind of covert thing. Lots of flexing. I noticed a lot of the muscular flexing going on. It kicks off right out the gate with the arm wrestle early doors, and then all the way through the film there's just lots of rather like uncomfortable, unusual positioning designed to show off those big arms, which gave me a chuckle. I wrote here, cover is for pussies, which I think was through a few of the few action scenes, like they just stand and shoot like in the wide open space. I'm like, well, get behind that tree, man! Jesus, what are you doing? But who cares when you got a minigun? I suppose. I mean, I made a note about the characters. I wrote here, of course, the Native American is the tracker. OBS, OBS, yeah. The 70s Vietnam vibe. I don't know what made me write that. I think that was a bit later on. Although that vibe is there from the beginning, isn't it, with the jeeps and the helicopters and going into the jungle.
Yeah, it is like sci-fi Platoon.
Yeah, there's definitely a vibe, and the uniform, like the kind of the green uniform and the way it's put together. Really bad jokes from the nerdy guy. Didn't like his jokes at all.
Did you not like his jokes? Did you not
No,
like
I
his
did not.
jokes?
I did not. They did not make me laugh. I wrote "stick around."
Knock, knock, stick around.
Get to the chopper. I wrote that here as well because you have to. I wrote the Predator tech confounded by mud.
Yeah, they go into that more in like I don't know if it's in Predator 2 or just in other stuff about it, because he's a hunter and he's restricted himself to infrared, isn't it? No, heat. Whatever, is it infrared heat?
Yeah, like heat vision. Yeah.
Heat vision. So he's like an elite hunter. He's like an older one, and I think the Predator in Predator 2 is supposed to be a younger. So he's like limited himself to heat vision to like make his hunting more interesting, because he obviously doesn't think that humans are going to be too much of a problem until
that makes it easy.
Along.
It makes it easier for him with the heat vision, doesn't it?
Well, I don't know, because he takes his mask off and he's pretty much blind. Although, because it switches to like the red with a little, and you think, well, if Arnie just stood still, if that's what he's seeing, he's not going to know. Like, I'm surprised he didn't trip and fall, because like all he sees is this haze of red, which doesn't quite add up.
So maybe the helmet gives him, but it just made me chuckle that it's shoulder-mounted cannons and targeting systems, cloaking devices, all this kind of stuff going on. Then Arnie just gets a bit of mud on him, and that's game over. That's it from Predator kind of thing, which made me laugh.
I think it's Predator 2, and it's like they do that because of what they've found out about from Arnie. And then the Predator in Predator 2 cycles through loads of different what's the word?
I'm not sure what the word is. Interfaces. Yeah,
so he cycles through a lot of different interfaces. So you can see like heat, and then there's like sound and different type of things to help him. So radar. I don't know. Obviously, wouldn't be very good at describing that. But yeah, so you can see in different ways is probably the easiest way of saying that, because they're caught out because they think they make it really cold and put loads of dust out or something.
But that's until that movie came out, we had there was no context around that. In this film, we only have the context of, and like you say, even though things are hinted at and we're given some visual storytelling, we don't know why this is the way that it is.
No.
I made a lot of notes around that, just around kind of the little touches of kind of the storytelling as they go along. So there's lots of stopping still, especially Arnie's character and the tracker dude. Lots of stopping, standing for a moment, getting a sense something isn't right, looking up into the trees. I feel like there's something watching me. There is something watching you, son. It's an extraterrestrial killing machine. You know what I mean? So all that kind of stuff going on. I made a few notes there. And then that was about it, really. That was about it. I mean, it's just kind of crazy, bombastic fun, isn't it? That's
crazy, I like it for bombastic fun.
I just like it for what it is. It's just a big 2-hour fight, basically.
It is. Yeah, it doesn't go into much of a backstory or anything. It just goes straight into it, which is quite nice.
Yeah, I forgot, actually. I didn't remember. One thing that kind of, when watching it, stood out to me is right at the outset of the film, you see the spaceship go past Earth and fire the like a landing craft out towards Earth. And I don't remember that at all. Has that been added since, or was that always there?
I'm pretty sure that was always there, right at the start.
Yeah, interesting. Because I always kind of had it in my head that like they just found the alien once they got to the jungle, and that legitimately, as an audience member, I thought the gorillas had skinned those bodies. And do you know what I mean? Or like I don't, but maybe that's just a failure of memory on my part.
It might be. Also, Also, if you watched, because like me, when I first watched that, it was because it was on UK terrestrial telly.
Sure.
And what they do in UK terrestrial telly is they chop a lot of it up. For example, the bit where he loses his arm so Mac gets shot in the head, and then Dylan loses his arm. That was obviously deemed too graphic in the 1980s for a British audience, and they cut that bit out and go straight to the bit where he's stabbed in the stomach, which is obviously less graphic. And so for where I'd recorded it off the telly and watched that recording for like a number of years, I didn't realise it was there, and then I bought the VHS for a collection and watched it, and I was like, "Why is this like the director's cut?" But
what's going on?
Yeah, it's
but the spaceship
Wasabi.
Yeah,
but I'm pretty sure the spaceship was always there.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know why, but this time round, when I watched it yesterday, I was like, oh. I mean, I always knew it was a science fiction and there was an alien involved, but I kind of felt like we got that later in the movie, if you know what I mean. I didn't realise it had been laid out for us right from the get-go like that.
Yeah, it was spoon feeds.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just a funny little thing I noticed. Yeah, and that's basically all my notes.
Cool stuff. I mean, I think Aliens and Predator are a big part of nerd lore, and I think we will return to them at some point. I would like to do a segment on AVP. I'm not sure if you've seen the first one.
Maybe not.
So it'd be interesting for you to watch that. I have very strong views on how they should have done Aliens versus Predator, which starts off with that they should have based it in the future, in part of the Aliens kind of world, as opposed to the real life and now, so the present day that Predator is set in.
Whoa, hang on, hold your horses there, young man. Keep your content in your pants. You know what I mean? But that could be another episode. You're popping your wad on there.
I know. So I will wind my neck in on that bombshell. But yeah, I mean, there's some big swing and misses coming for later on in the franchises for both Predator and Aliens. I think
that might be why I've not seen so many of them, because I watched a couple and just thought nah, and didn't bother carrying on, or I just heard bad things and went, all right, I'm not bothered then.
Yeah, the AVP it was a long time from Aliens and Predator coming out to that coming out, and there was a big will they be able to do it? Will they get the rights? Will they be able to combine it? And then they got the okay, and then they did the film, and it's like after that build up and two massive iconic films. It should have been an Avengers, the first Avengers, when you build it, get all the separate characters and put them together. But it ain't the Avengers, I'm telling you that. But that, in closing, that is Predator.
Right. Okay then. Well, what should I watch for the next episode?
Well, the next episode will be knocking right on the door of Christmas, and again. Stuart had a hand in the choice of this one. We're going to go Christmassy. We're going to the best Christmas movie of all time, Die Hard.
Die Hard. Okay. I can do.
Die Hard is my Christmas wrapping film. I watch it every year whilst I wrap the kids' Christmas presents, and I'll get wrapping before the next episode.
Fair enough. Okay, Die Hard in episode 6, folks. Okay, welcome back then, folks. It's time for Chris's Comic Book Corner. This is where we take a comic book series or a trade paperback collection and we put it in front of the comic book novice eyes of Mr. England over there. In our last episode, I challenged him to read the classic X-Men storyline, the Dark Phoenix Saga.
Yes, he did.
I've not prepared. You've started doing more with your segment, like prepping up little sections to read about what they're all about and stuff. And I'm not that prepared at all. I just obviously I'm less professional by comparison.
That's an Andy England guarantee right there.
Well, that joke only works if the person listening right now listens to both our podcasts.
I am pretty sure that all 20 people that listen to this will have probably listened to the Ministry of Dice. Our Dice Masters podcast, if you are interested and you don't know what we're talking about, we do a podcast every other week to this podcast, which talks about all things Dice Masters, which is a dice and card game.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know, actually, if there's anyone listening who doesn't listen to the Ministry of Dice. But in any case, the Dark Phoenix Saga, then, I'll do as much as I can off the top of my head. So it first came out in 1976 or 77-ish. It was the second part of a kind of run where Jean Grey had become the Phoenix in the first instance, and then this story tells her descent into the Dark Phoenix character. It was written by Chris Claremont, illustrated by
Dave
John Byrne. No, John.
Okay.
And is considered by very many an X-Men fan as one of the landmark storyline instances in the X-Men kind of history.
Cool. And I was very excited. I was very excited to read it because there is a Dice Masters set coming out themed all around the Dark Phoenix.
Is there? We'll see, I suppose.
Well, yeah, at some point in the near future, we hope. I also, not long ago, watched the movie.
Oh, sure. The movie's quite a bit different, really.
Yeah, it's definitely is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, which one did you watch? Last Stand or the actual Dark Phoenix, I suppose, is the one you talked about?
Yeah, it's the actual the one from 2019, Dark Phoenix. And some of it makes a bit more sense now.
Sure. Okay, well, let's gather your thoughts then, man. It's your first time looking at this particular comic book story. What did you think?
Cool. Well, first off, is as a comparison to what you've fed me so far, I enjoyed the fact that it was obviously part of a continuation. So, like, the X-Men comics just keep coming. There's referrals back to issue 101 or 120. So even though it was part of a longer arc, there was a start and a finish to this this storyline, which is quite nice. And obviously it had the ability to continue on, but there was a start and an end. You started, they're leaving Moira, and they've obviously just concluded a mission or one against some form of baddie, and then it goes through to the end, when it all comes to a head, Dark Phoenix wise. And then with what I read after the end of the book, there is a bit after which kind of goes into some weird thing about how she's not dead, which we all know she's not dead because none of them actually ever die. They just kind of come back somehow in some convoluted way. So
that's how it works. Yeah,
I quite liked it, as opposed to it was different from, say, The Watchmen or Preacher. Although, to be fair, I just kind of devoured all of the Preacher as kind of a complete story, or We Three, which is very short, or the Justice League, which was the start of something that is obviously just going to then continue on for a long run. So that was quite cool. I knew who the characters were, as opposed to more obscure ones from the Justice League, like Blue Beetle and Booster Gold, which haven't made it to the big screen. So I already knew about the characters and a bit of their background and who they were and what they were like. Although Cyclops is definitely harder in the comic books than he is in the movies. They definitely tone him right down.
Do you mean in terms of his superpower?
It is his superpower, and he's also, in the movies, he always comes across as basically he's a cock.
He's a bit of a douchebag in it, yeah.
Whereas in the comic book, he's actually quite cool and he's a leader and they respect him. And like Wolverine respects him as much as Wolverine respects anyone, as opposed to in the movies where he's just like, I'm going to steal your car and try and shag your missus. Which is basically what he does. So like that, then I just having a look through my notes. I enjoyed the storylines. The storyline was quite intermingled, and it referred back to points. I liked the basically the way it went through. So the start, and then it goes to Mastermind, who I didn't have a clue who he was, other than that he was on a Dice Masters card. So it's quite cool to kind of learn a bit about him. And then it goes to the scenes in the Hellfire Club, and then she goes from goody to baddie, then back to goody. And then when you think that's all over, I was like, oh, that's quite cool kind of storyline. And then it kind of escalates again, and they go into space and fight the Imperial Guard. So that was very movie-esque, how it kind of come to a climax, and you think, oh, that's a cool storyline, and then they go, no, let's throw him into an even worse position.
There's an even bigger threat. Yeah,
that's very cinematically kind of done, and I like that. I was kind of expecting it because they kind of set it up, but it was cool nonetheless to know that you're throwing them into a pit of wolves, and they'd managed to scramble their way out, and so they got thrown into like a pit of crocodiles or something. And then the ending is unexpected as well, where she dies, but she doesn't really die. But how that ended, I very much enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. I think I preferred the Hellfire Club stuff a bit more than the stuff in space, because there's
spacey, wasty stuff.
There's more on it. Like it introduces the baddies, so you've got Shaw and the cyborg dude and Mastermind, and the what's the Emma Frost? Because I know that she becomes quite a big queen later on. And it spends a bit more time kind of describing them, and you know who they are. You've got a bit of a sense of what they're about. Whereas the Imperial Guard, some of them just crop up for a couple of scenes when they're having a fight. And I know there's more to him, because I know that Gladiator definitely is a character that's developed more. So I'm kind of assuming that these different superheroes that they're fighting probably have more of a story about them that I didn't know.
Yeah, that is the case, definitely.
Yeah, I thought, because they're too well thought out to be just generic people to fight. And that really concludes my thoughts. I enjoyed it. It was a good length. It was long enough to enjoy and digest and have a bit of detail to it. It wasn't like super duper long where it was a bit of a wade. So if you haven't, I would very much recommend Dark Phoenix to everyone who's listening.
Oh, well, there you go. That's very much considered like the absolute, the platinum quality X-Men kind of storyline there. In fact, Days of Future Past, which I think you will have heard of.
What, maybe? Movie?
Oh, yeah. There is a film on that storyline as well. Well, obviously, there's reasons why they're inspiring the films. That was just a two-issue storyline, really? Days of Future Past, and the legacy of it, is still around 30, 40 years later now. A lot of new characters introduced in the Dark Phoenix Saga story. Kitty and Magic, specifically, are kind of two of the new mutants that join the unit.
Oh, so it's Dazzler becomes Magic?
No, Dazzler's a mutant in her own right. She's a bit of a sort of meme now, though, a bit of a joke. She's got sparkly powers.
She is you could tell as soon as she appeared that it was written in the 70s.
Yeah, that's right. I need to chuck a bit of disco in. All right, okay, let's get a disco mutant made then. With glitter balls and a live disco performance. Yeah. Absolutely. But it's really it's so I think the reason why it stands out to comic book readers so much, by today's standard, it's the type of story that's unfolding is quite common, but back then, these sorts of ups and downs and the way the story unfolded wasn't particularly common. You would just have villain of the week, or you'd fight a villain over 2 issues, and that'd be it. It'd be done. The kind of journey that the whole mastermind long game of manipulating Jean Grey was quite new. To drop in a piece of storyline and then not actually have it become relevant till. I mean, you read the trade paperback, but in a monthly edition, it wouldn't have become relevant for 5 months later, kind of thing.
Art wasn't as good as some of the other stuff you've given me to read.
Oh, okay, really? That's interesting. I mean, I must admit, I'm not that big of a fan of John Byrne's work, but it's very much considered the look and feel of X-Men from that period. Definitely.
Yeah, it's functional and it's good. And again, if they're cranking out these day after day after day, you can't kind of spend hours on one kind of square, or is it what's the technical term? Frame, window, box.
Sure, and take your pick.
Yeah, but yeah, it didn't like after you've just given me We 3, which is just absolutely stunning. The direct comparison wasn't that good. But then in the 1970s, it wouldn't have been, you couldn't have digitally touched it up. And I'm sure now they're all kind of sent onto, however they're drawn out and they're put on the computer. They may all be done on computer, but back in the day, that wouldn't have been the case. It would have been all kind of hand drawn and then printers and such. So you have to kind of forgive it, and then the color palette wouldn't have been the same because of the inks, etc., and all that kind of malarkey. But yeah, it showed that it was an older comic.
Yeah, in that kind of older style. Yeah, definitely. All right, but yeah, the main reason I put it on was to, I think X-Men and that storyline are a big part of what comics are today, and establish very much kind of the way that superhero stories are now expected to be told.
Wow.
Yeah. So there you go. All right. Well, I haven't got a great deal more to add, other than to make a decision about what the next title I'm going to put in front of me is. And I think let's take a personal favour of mine. We're going to take a look at the first volume. I think it's 3 volumes long in total. The first volume of a comic book called The Planetary from Image Comics, written by Warren Ellis and drawn by John Cassidy.
Ooh, how exciting!
Yeah, I like this one a lot, but I'll not say any more because we'll be gathering your thoughts in the next episode.
Fantastico!
All right, brilliant. Okay, well, we'll wrap that one up there then and move on to the next segment. Well, there we are then. That was the War Drums. Although if we carry on like this and not have debate battles, I'm going to have to change that little stinger segue.
Well, God knows what we do. It's changeable every week, so we'll see what the next one is.
Yeah, I'll have to maybe figure out a different intro. But yeah, it's I suppose the debatey, quizzy, guessworky, randomy bit.
The third segment.
And in this installment, we are discussing our favourite Christmas movie.
Do-do-do-do.
But you wanted to put a little twist on it, didn't you?
Yeah, well, we're going to speak about Die Hard next episode, so didn't want to really spend loads of time speaking on that. So it is our favourite Christmas movie, not including Die Hard 1 or 2. That's the first thing.
Okay.
Because Die Hard 1 or 2 would take top place. Standard. And then because our 20 questions went down so well to our thousands of listeners last episode, we thought we'd try it again. Although we're not a person this time, so I'm not entirely sure how it's going to work out. But
well, guess the film, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm sure it will work. I'm sure it can translate. So, do you want to guess first or be guessing first? No, that's the same thing.
How did it? Who went first last time?
I
think you guessed mine first, didn't you, last time?
I did.
So I'll try and guess yours first then this time.
Okay.
All right.
Let's do it.
So let me get my pen ready to tick off me questions. Is this movie a comedy?
Yes.
Does this movie star Arnold Schwarzenegger?
No. Good guess, though.
Okay, yeah. What was that one called? Jingle All the Way, I think.
It was called Jingle All the Way.
Yeah. It's a comedy. Is it Father Christmas related?
No.
Ooh. Is it Bad Santa?
No. That is on my short list, though.
Wow. Oh, wow. Comedy Christmas films. Comedy Christmas films, not Father Christmas related. Is it animated?
No. I played this with my wife earlier. She asked that question as well.
Is it animated? There's lots of animated Christmas films.
There is.
Oh, wow. And it's not Father Christmas related. That's the bit that's thrown me, that it's not Father Christmas related. Is it a National Lampoon movie?
No, it's not. Another question she asked as well.
Oh, wow.
I'm obviously
Great minds.
quite easily read.
Great minds and all that.
Indeed.
Okay. Yeah, it's not Bad Mom's Christmas, whatever it's called, or Bad Mom's Christmas Party or something.
No.
No.
It's not a porno either.
Is it not? It's not animated either. Oh, wow. I've actually hit a bit of a wall. Is it in the last 5 years?
No.
It's not in the last 5 years. It's not National Lampoons. Is it Christmas with the Cranks?
Yes.
Oh, I think that is a National Lampoons movie.
No, it's not. It hasn't got National Lampoons at the beginning.
Oh, well, okay, sure. If that...
I'm intrigued now. What makes a movie a National Lampoons movie?
You're probably right. It probably needs National Lampoon,
What does National Lampoons even mean?
National Lampoons. I think it was. So there was like a small group of comedians at one of the big like American Ivy League universities who created like a comedic magazine every month that was called the National Lampoon that then exploded and became really popular. And they started doing National Lampoon's radio comedy shows off the back of it, and then it continued to be popular so much so that they ended up, it was like a brand, a comedy brand that all started with this little comedy fanzine from a university publication.
Oh, that's quite cool. I didn't know
Bill
that.
Murray and Harold Ramis and all those guys were involved.
Chevy
a lot
Chase.
of them then went on to do. Yeah, Chevy Chase, definitely.
Yeah, he's in all of the National Lampoon's movies, I think, isn't he? Isn't he even the same family, the Grimwolds or something?
No, well, I think there's been loads of. I think possibly he's been in all the 80s ones, but I think then there was loads of there's been more that have just been kind of forgotten about over time.
Imagine if it was like National Lampoon's Ghostbusters.
Isn't because I think what's that one with Emilio Estevez in that's like the Lethal Weapon spoof?
Oh, then he had Part Dieu. But I'm missing this.
No, that's Charlie Sheen, his brother. You're thinking of that's. Oh my god, I can't remember the name of that one either. There was definitely a kind of spoofy.
Hot Shots, Part Dieu, and Hot Shots. Those were the movies.
Yeah, although I don't think Hot Shots is National Lampoons, but I think the one with Emilio Estevez that I'm thinking of was. I think it had Samuel L. Jackson in it as well, doing the kind of Donald Glover character.
The Mighty Ducks.
I tell you what else was. No,
I love that. The second one that's my favourite.
An Emilio Estevez classic, absolutely. I tell you what, I think was National Lampoons as well. That one with Ryan Reynolds in, where he's the university guy who does crazy parties for people. Oh, what's that one called?
I'm still on Emilio Estevez here.
Give me a second.
He's done loads of films, hasn't he? Christ.
Van Wilder, that's the one with Ryan Reynolds in it. Is it Van Wilder? Ooh. Loaded Weapon.
Loaded Weapon 1 and Loaded Weapon 2.
I think they're the ones I'm thinking of.
Yeah, National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1 with Emilio Estevez and Samuel L. Jackson, 1993.
There you go. So, yeah, but National Lampoons is like a comedy brand that all started with this magazine in the 70s.
Anyway, Christmas with the Cranks. It's my favourite Christmas movie. I watched it this today, in fact, just to remind me of how much I like it. It's good. I like Tim Allen a lot. I think he's really funny. And Tim Allen plays Tim Allen. And The Doris plays the
More
Doris.
power.
Jamie Lee Curtis plays Jamie Lee Curtis. And
and you don't need much more than that.
no, exactly. There's a few, like, there's comedy bits in there from Tim Allen, which are just gold. Like the bit where he gets Botox. There's no reason. Like, I mean, it's just so that he can put some, like, get a mouthful of food and then just, like, spit it out again. It's just quality comedy. I like it. I don't know if I can go in depth with it.
I remember it very fondly. I've not watched it in a long time, though. I'll have to revisit it.
It's worth it. It's definitely worth it. Dan Aykroyd's in it, and Dan Aykroyd is like...
I love Dan Aykroyd.
It's like the you of the Community. Like, he's got a guy for everything. Like, when the police, he's like, to the police, he's like, go and pick up his daughter from the airport, and they're like, I don't think we can do that. And he's like, do you want me to call the chief? I know him. And they're like, yeah, all right, we'll do it. And then the power goes out, and he's like, Tim Allen goes to Dan Aykroyd. He's like, do you know someone in the power, like, company? And he's just like, yeah. And then the next thing you know, they put in the power. And that doesn't actually, like, the whole thing with it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't add to the storyline, other than they were bigging up Dan Aykroyd, because by that point he already was a complete legend.
Yeah, Dan Aykroyd rocks. I'm not sure though whether that's a compliment, because he's like the antagonist of the movie.
He isn't. He's the good-spirited, Christmas-loving mafia don of the street, and then when they need his help, he rallies everyone together to get them to help him out.
Yeah, Tim Allen's character has made him the villain in his own head, hasn't he?
Yeah, and Tim Allen's character kind of is the villain.
Yeah, and it's all that keeping up with the Joneses stuff in it.
Yeah. So
I haven't watched that in a long time now. That I'm...
The 2004 classic Christmas at the Cranks. If you haven't seen it or have not seen it for a while, check it out. It is a good old-fashioned Christmas comedy with some really nice cute bits at the end when he gives the crew, very cute bits at the end. I was about to tell you it, but if you've not watched it before, then that would just be a really shitty thing to do. So I'm not going to do that. And well done on getting it on 9 questions. Thank you very much. Thank you. I don't think I'm going to manage yours in 9, but we'll see.
Well, maybe we'll see. Yeah.
Oh, I've got a little rundown of my runners-up, which included Jingle All the Way.
Sure.
With Arnold Schwarzenegger, Home Alone, and Bad Santa. You mentioned as well. Gremlins. I've not seen Gremlins for ages, but that's
I've not watched that for a while.
Christmas film. Elf. Deck the Halls with Danny DeVito and Matthew Broderick. That is a very cool movie.
Yeah.
I really like that one. It's on a similar vein. Again, it's just a good, funny kind of Christmas comedy. And then I cannot read my writing on that one at all. So obviously not one of my favourites. Cool. So there we go. My turn.
Okay. Yeah. All set and ready to go when you are.
Right. Okay. Question 1. Is it animated?
No.
Has it got Arnold Schwarzenegger in it?
No.
Okie doke. Was it released within the last 10 years?
Oh, no. But I think it might be close to have been.
Okay.
Maybe. No, it might be a touch older than I think it is in my head.
No. So, to confirm then, is it released between kind of 2000 and 2010 in the noughties, as they say?
Yeah, I think it was definitely in the noughties.
The noughties. Right. So it's not animated, released in the noughties. Is it Elf?
It absolutely is Elf.
Boom! Done it in 5.
Check you out.
That was good, wasn't it?
Yeah. How did you get to that so quickly off just those 2 answers?
I don't know. Well, Elf is up there for me, but the rest of my family hate Elf. Absolutely hate it with a passion. Whereas I can't really watch it, so as much as I appreciate it and think it is definitely one of the best Christmas movies of all time, I don't get to see it at Christmas because unless I sit down and watch it on my own, which is a family movie, it's supposed to be enjoyed with the family, then we don't really watch it.
Yeah, my kids don't particularly get it. Me and my wife are like pissing us sides, laughing, and they don't. Some of the jokes roll over their head, but I think that Will Ferrell innocence, him playing a very innocent character that way that he does, it really, really works in the film, and it just makes me laugh a lot. I can't. I like some of the weird little lines that he just throws out there, like when he meets the guy in the shop and he's dressed up like an elf and he says, "Oh, it's really great to meet a human who shares my love of elf culture," and just weird random stuff. And I don't know why, but that just like splits my side. Or you sit on a throne of lies, just like super quotable and just makes me laugh every time. And like putting his syrup and his Skittles in with his spaghetti for his dinner, just stupid stuff like that. Just gives me a laugh.
It is definitely one of the best Christmas movies of all time. I totally agree with you and disagree with the rest of my household. I love like Santa. I know him, which I wish I could say better like he does because I've tried to say it all the time.
Yeah, there's just something about the way he puts it over, isn't there? Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. And when he does the decorating of the department store, that's very cool. And they come in and it's all decorated. It's like, you from corporate?
And, Peter Dinklage, he goes, "Oh, did you use brown reindeer to get here?" He's like, "Hey, jerkwad!" Just leaps on the table and runs at him. Just, very funny. Michael Caine, legendary actor, of course. Not Michael Caine, sorry. James Caan, legendary actor, of course.
He's been in a lot of stuff, but I can never remember what. He's like one of those people where you recognise his face, but you can be, what's he been in? I can't remember.
Well, he's most famous for The Godfather, I would say.
I don't.
He's the impetuous brother in The Godfather.
So I've not seen that in a donkey's age.
Oh, I keep meaning to rewatch it. I do enjoy The Godfather.
See, I find I'd have to rewatch it. I remember watching the first one and thinking it was a bit long drawn out.
I love a good gangster flick.
Yeah, I do. I think I might have not been in the best of moods when watching it. I should try that again. Let alone I've came through enough movies in the course of a couple of weeks, so I might see if I can find that. I also am really tight, so usually I only like to watch stuff that's free. So I have to see if I can find that anywhere.
I don't know
whether
it streams often or not. Yeah, I don't know.
I think we've got it on VHS in the loft. But
oh wow!
I think I'll have to try and find a VHS player in order to watch it.
I bought the trilogy in the new the Blu-ray edition that they brought out a couple of years back, and I still haven't actually got around to watching it.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah, but in any case, my shortlist. Would you like to know my shortlist on the Christmas film?
I would like to know your shortlist.
Yeah. So there was 5 in total. Elf was obviously the one that I decided to go for top spot, but Scrooged.
Oh yeah.
Trading Places, The Nightmare Before Christmas, and Arthur Christmas.
That's a good list. It's also funny that it doesn't match any of mine either.
Oh. Well, it just goes to show how many Christmas movies there are, I think.
Indeed.
Nothing more than that, yeah. So, yeah, there's my shortlist.
Cool. Well, a relatively short but sweet third segment. I would very much like to know what your favourite Christmas movie is. I say this quite a lot. If you're listening, do leave a comment because you don't usually. So let us know what your favourite Christmas movie is. Even if you just put the title and leave it as that, it's fine. And I'll put a little thank you underneath it. But let us know. We've already discussed it. There's loads of them out there, and there are loads of crackers. There's loads of comedies. There's loads of
loads of crackers.
Loads of. Well, no, they're mostly comedies. To be fair, there's some heartfelt ones out there, like Miracle on 32nd Street. Is it
34th?
34th Street. The Polar Express. They've never really been my cup of tea. I've appreciated them, and the kids usually like them, but a little bit of gushy for my liking. You've got Gremlins, amazing.
There's a fair number of kind of really sappy ones. The kids have just watched a new one on Netflix called
Christmas Chronicles 2.
No, it was I want to say Noel, maybe, about Father Christmas's daughter or something.
Oh no, I've not seen that.
I'm not gonna lie, I only paid half an attention. I went and did other things while they were watching it.
Speaking, I just realised that this one that I couldn't read is Christmas Chronicles, which is a good one with Kurt Russell. Christmas Chronicles 2 I've not watched yet, but
I don't
apparently
think I've
it's good.
seen it.
It's quite good. It's definitely worth a watch. It's definitely watchable. There's also one with Patrick Stewart, which is set in New Year's Eve in New York, and I think it follows different people as they go through their not New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve, flipping Christmas movie, which is supposed to be quite good, but I've not watched it, and I don't know what the name is. So good luck searching for that one, folks.
I don't know what that one is.
You'd have to search Patrick Stewart and go from there. But take it from a wife. It's good. And there's Love Actually. I quite like Love Actually.
My wife. Did I tell you about this Love Actually Day thing?
Love Actually Day. That sounds exciting.
No, matter of perspective, I suppose. So she, there's a day in November, at the back end of November, which is the first day of the movie that is supposedly this like Love Actually Day thing where you're supposed to then go away and watch it, because it's the first day of the film.
Right.
Or something. When the film starts, which I think is bobbins and random and a complete made up thing. So I Googled it and there was no evidence of this being a thing on the internet.
Well, it could be. Listen to the MoDXtra Love Actually Day coming November 2021.
But when I said to her, I Googled it and there's no evidence of this being a thing. That was not a well-received comment.
As far as romantic comedies go, from a male perspective, it's definitely one of the ones I would watch over others.
Yeah, I suppose.
It's got that Richard Curtis kind of comedy that makes it more watchable than, say, I don't know, some of the shit that's out
there. Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, some of the shit that's out there, we'll wrap this episode up, wrap this segment up, and wrap the episode up because I'm looking at the timer and we've been going for a long time.
Oh, yes, we have. Do you want to do a little outro quickly just to sum everything up?
Yeah, let's do a quick outro.
Okay.
Well, there we are then, folks. That brings us to the end of the 6th episode of MoDXtra. We hope you enjoyed listening as much as we enjoyed recording it.
Indeedly do's.
Oh, I was waiting for it. And we did.
I know. I thought I'd change it up.
Mix it up a bit, yeah. Mix it up a bit, yeah. Very good. Please do, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. We've got loads of stuff going on. I'm putting some comic book content out, and he's been posting some of his Apex Legends clippets. Also, go check us out on twitch.tv/MoDXtra, MoDXtra, where you'll find our live streams, which up till now have mostly been my Hearthstone and a little bit of Andy's Apex, but we've got something special lined up coming soon. So you want to be subscribed not to miss that.
Indeed you do. Indeed you do. Indeed. Please do interact with us. So I said about putting something in the comments. If you would like to suggest a film or a comic book or a subject for us to discuss on our random third segment, then let us know. We feed off of your comments and we'll be more than happy to accommodate any suggestions that you have. So do let us know what you think of what we do, if there's any improvements, if it's going to be different, any suggestions for what you want us to talk about, and we will definitely take them on board.
Absolutely. Okay, with all that said then, we'll wrap this up. I've been Chris, otherwise known online as the True Mr. Six.
And I've been Andy, a.k.a. Get to the Chopper.
See you later, folks.
Bye-bye-bye. Want some candy?
A.k.a. Want some candy?
Want some candy? Danny boy.
That was good. That was a good finish. Well done.
Thanks. let me tie that up a little bit better.
Oh, okay.
Right.
You think I'm going to edit that? It's
Yes, you are going to edit that because I don't want to sound like a knob.
You don't need my editing help to do that.
Comment. Predator quote.